have the edge there. And also, if we just look at the pure firepower on both these squads, like going toe to toe, NRG has the edge in every category. The category, whether it be anchors, opper, entry, everything leans in their direction. So it's not just a challenge for Blue Jays right now in terms of map, it's also in terms of if they can even compete with the guys on the other side of the server.
We will find out. It's Inferno to start, so we'll get a good idea of the preparation here for the Blue Jays. Their usual perma ban now played in the server against a very strong team. Can they adjust, adapt, and overcome? Admittedly, at times, Inferno hasn't been that great for NRG.
We've seen it, yeah.
Various iterations of the roster, they've somehow had these struggles, so we'll see. Bro with a little desk pop, saw the flash, figured, you know, I might as well just shoot if there's going to be a guy here. And there will be, on a slightly different schedule. Ambitious to just walk the smoke. And his ambitious has been met with punishment. They are through. They are through. There's still a player in the dark corner. Oh my goodness, George has gotten this bomb plant off, but it has cost them. Didn't anticipate this positioning, but a quick kill on that player tucked in the corner. Could flip the script on this one. Fruit Cup's trying to work his way out the smoke, but thinks better of it. There's still that banana presence to come through, but how have they found all these kills, John?
What? That's insane.
This should have been settled business, and now they've got the dink, they've got the goosh, and Fruit Cup is panicking. He doesn't even know where the second player is. OC's waiting maximum amount of time, and there's the punish. OC and George looked like they were in over their heads, and yet they found a way to swim to the surface.
That is insane. Honestly, I think I need to see a replay of that round just to understand how they managed to get those frags, because it was a 2v5. Blue Jays had everyone up and running, and OC and George said, well, no problem. We're just going to take you down. No sweat. I can't believe it. OC, I think some of that came through a smoke or something. They managed to disrupt the Blue Jays, and then they started to try and charge in, but it was just not happening at all. Unbelievable stuff. I was honestly convinced the Blue Jays had that one, you know, completely cut and dry, but NRG, unreal stuff. And now, you know, Blue Jays don't have enough money, or they do have enough money to force up, but they choose not to. And I want to get into a discussion about the meta here, but I don't know if we'll have the opportunity because everything's unfolding.
Everything is unfolding, but John, they're just USPs. So talk about the meta to your heart's content.
I mean, from what I've seen lately, I feel like a force buy on CT side is more beneficial, right? It can definitely yield a win. I've seen, for the most part, when the CTs force up, they have a much better chance of victory than just sticking with those USPs. And it's not the same as CSGO, right? When we have the MR15, we had lots of rounds where you could save, build up your eco, and get a really strong buy and still have a chance to come back into it. It's MR12, and you know, your economy on CT side, while you do have to nurse it, it's also not going to be very favorable more often than not if you're losing those early rounds. So you got to get back into it as quickly as possible. So yeah, go ahead.
To me, the interesting aspect of it is always the utility game on Inferno, right? How quickly do you get max nades up? Blue Jays have actually been able to field quite a bit, but one of the reasons why you'll see teams favor that second round force is that the idea is, well, we're either going to win the force buy, in which case everything is gravy, or we'll then eco and have a better buy with maximum loss bonus on our next. Yep. But that being said, Blue Jays have fairly good utility sets. Players in towards mini pit. Well, save. Pull the ripcord. Get out of there, Slight.
Already, Mike?
100%. This is Inferno, John. This has been done.
But Slight's still here. Okay,
it's done. If they attempt this is a mistake. Speaking about economy management on the CT side, sticking around this long is already a mistake.
Yeah, you could see Fruit Cup like, really? Are we going? Are we doing this? No, I don't want to. He backs off. No, I agree. It's a site, Inferno. It is, I've said this so many times, but it's the hardest site to retake in the current pool, and any pool really, in Counter-Strike, just because there's so many angles to clear out. And if you don't have a absolute crazy amount of utility to block things off or throw Molotovs and clear angles, then you just have absolutely no chance. And in this situation, you know, they need to save whatever they have left into this next round. The risk would be far too high for the Blue Jays. And even though NRG were kind of low, it doesn't matter. Even with low players in that situation, they can still come out on top. So Blue Jays absolutely make the right decision to fall back in that situation and try again into this round, which will yield a bye, I imagine, for the remaining two players instead of going for an eco here. There is a timeout called. I think this might be a technical one, Mike.
Might be. Hopefully whatever it is can be resolved quickly if that's the case. But yeah, you're not even sure how confirmed the damage is. Like, there's just...
Yeah, exactly.
Even in even number situations, life is difficult if you don't have that retake util.
Yes.
As it was. Getting the one kill on the player walk through smoke, that's fine. But time to get the heck out of Dodge. Really nice entry pathing there from NRG. Just lethal, right? They just absolutely deleted the players on site. Seems like we're going to the fly-throughs. Always maybe a bit of a concerning sign. Let's dive in, figure out what's going on here, John. See if I can get an answer. Headset died. Oh,
Classic.
No. Plug it in. Deal with it.
I think it was hexed the other day. I was casting a match and he was having his headset microphone was having
not
problems.
Hexed this time. Someone
okay,
on
so it's not
BLUEJAYS
hexed.
side.
Okay.
Can confirm. Don't blame Hexed. Look, if you want to get in Jaden's DMs and yell at him about something, I'm sure he's done something, but it's not this. I'm sure he deserves it for something or other, but it isn't for the headset right now. We're getting a replay of that pistol round. Well, no, we're getting a replay of some things. And we're back into the action. Here we go. Headset fixed, repaired, stitched back together. We are into the fun.
Get some duct tape. That's
That
all you
works.
need.
That works for headsets.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of headsets. I actually, for some of the stage headsets, for players have different comfort levels, and for some of them, they'll like duct tape a bunch of padding onto it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what exactly it is, but some players prefer it that way. And
I guess, yeah.
admins are always nice to accommodate people.
I mean, you're going to be wearing them for a very long time, so I do understand.
It's true. You got a point. So we've got fruit cup.
Fruit cape.
I don't know what a fruit cape
What would
look
that
like.
be? Yeah.
It would probably
like a fruit
smell very quickly. Just rotting fruit in the cape. Okay, these rifles having massive impact. There we go. That's how you maximize a limited buy. You stack them up. 3 players in the same angle, and NRG were not prepared for the numbers being brought against them. Still, they have identified that if that stack's assembled, there might not be a whole lot here at B. It's just going to be Fruit Cup with an MP9, but if he can go 1 for 1, he sets up his teammates at a really good spot. Still, smoke Molly down. They're wary on the NRG side. But they're clearing their corners. They're finding this space. Fruit Cup. Thinking about the fight. Thinking about the brawl. Molotov ticks. But it doesn't really do a lot to actually rumble these players out of position. That smoke was still up. So Nitro can gain purchase on Banana. This is reminiscent of the positions they took in the pistol, but this time Nitro wants to be a little more active, wants to play a little further forward. He's adjusted into it as snap comes around. That's the first catch, and elbow spotted on the second. They know where they are. Fighting towards tree. Nicely done. Sets up the clutch. Bro on the line. Fruit Cup's just sticking it. Fruit Cup's just sticking it. Does Bro check him? He does indeed. And Bro will find the kill and the round to boot.
Yeah, even though it was a man advantage for the Blue Jays, like you mentioned, just a good rotation from NRG, recognizing that there were a lot of bodies on that A site, possibly all of them, but we're still ready for the fight as they went in towards B. Had enough util, at least, to get onto the site without much of a challenge. And then once they were challenged, they got 2 frags before one came the other way, and Bro just had to wait out the last Blue Jays player as they stuck to the defusal. And the spray almost got away from him. It was actually a little scary, but he did get the job done, at least scary for NRG. Blue Jays going to take this space towards Banana. Util, as you mentioned before, Mike, very critical here for that Banana engagement to try and gain control. But I mean, look, who's walking? Bro just walking right through smokes here. going to top of Banana while NRG are moving into bracket. Dare does get the opener for his squad, swings around for another look, sees Nitro, wants to get a beat on him. No, he's gone into Boiler, has to pull out his pistol, and Freshie comes to support. That is a nice sequence from the Blue Jays to gain a 5v2 edge, but it is brought down to a 4v2, and only briefly. It's a 4v1 now because Dare just gets the frag on George. The problem there for NRG is they get so much space up towards Banana. Bro finds the B site pretty much by himself, but they were already executing towards A before they had any information as to what Bro was doing, so maybe they should have been a little more patient.
Perhaps. Understandable, though, to try and take top brackets control, but they didn't have the util set to clear out porch. There's now a couple of times where they've had trouble with the porch position. We saw the triple stack in the previous and the broken by, and this time it's a swing back in for Blue Jays. So nice coordination on that double peek out from Freshie and Dare. And a shot to the back of the dome here will end any hope NRG had in the round. Very nicely done. Big round from Dare, of course, but NRG a little disjointed perhaps on those peaks out of the boiler.
Yeah.
Gave just too much of an opportunity over to Dare, and he capitalized.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of coordination, I think in general it was a little bit off for NRG, and like I mentioned, and you aptly pointed out that taking bracket control is obviously good to do, but they could have just thrown some util, taken their time, drawn some attention to the Blue Jays while seeing what Bro was going to do towards that B site. But anyway, we'll see how things go moving into round number 6. They still have enough money to buy up the AKs across the board. Snap, nice nade onto Bro. I think that was Frugup and Snap getting a nade off.
Yeah, you want to get the aggressive banana control? Yeah. Well, you're going to have to deal with the punish util. The life of a B player on this map. They want to take space out. Oh, wow. They've got a lot of space. Players dropped into mini pit. They may not realize this. They don't. They don't know. They don't know that he's dropped down. That's going to be a kill found for George. Now this is so much space. Because he took the duel with the player in the doorway, George realized they didn't know he was here and took full advantage of it. That pathing is insane. And now with the smoke up towards Moto, I mean, this is a site. This is full control. This is a bomb plant.
They have a lot of util on the Blue Jays side, so they can consider going for this one. I still don't know, Mike. Like we talked about, even in even numbers on this A site, it's difficult to justify, but they are going to try for it this time. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah, catches the rotator and super deep, playing here in the sewers. Means that now, yeah, Blue Jay have to tuck tail. They just won one. That knocks the loss bonus down a little bit, but saving these guns will give them a chance to be swinging. With the money saved on Snav and Dare, they should be okay to sustain a buy, even if there are some limitations. But that is a big coup from NRG. I was looking at the push out of apartments and thinking these guys are a little disjointed from their teammates, right? You don't have the lane approach at the same time, which is usually how teams want to exploit it. But because George just didn't find that resistance, he took the space. We're seeing this now with George and Bro. This is a very disrespectful style of play, I would say. They are trusting that there are going to be opportunities to exploit these gaps, exploit these smokes, and they're playing a lot further up tempo than most teams will on Inferno, and it is catching Blue Jays massively off guard.
Yeah, and I think that's the nature of the punish pick as well, right? Because they realize that Blue Jays are not going to be comfortable on this map. They can play in an orthodox style where they're a little more aggressive, and Blue Jays won't be as ready for it, assuming they didn't have prep on the map, and it doesn't look like they did. It seems more like it was, we don't want to play train anymore against NRG, so let's try Inferno instead.
Why does Nitro have a Glock?
He likes
Nitro, where'd your gun go?
I don't know. That is a legit question. I don't even have an answer. I'm like, well, maybe he forgot to buy. How do you forget to buy? Like, that's not possible.
Something has happened to Nitro's gun. Hopefully he can take one off of somebody else. Now, imagine what he could have done in that duel with not a Glock.
Hex.
Hex knows there's a player right here. Slight knows there's a player right here. And it's going to be Hex who gets the better of him. Still, the bomb's on the wrong side of the map. Where did Nitro's gun go?
I don't know.
What happened?
Did he legit not buy it?
I don't know. Anyway.
That was weird.
That is going to be around for the Blue Jays. Yeah.
Some funny business.
I don't know whether someone dropped one in spawn and he forgot to pick it up. I don't know what happened there. Tomfoolery.
Indeed.
You just drop a nades for one of his teammates and press G one too many times?
And then someone stole his gun and sold theirs? Like, I don't know.
Well, he just like dropped it under a truck or something. Couldn't go back. There are spots you can accidentally stash things.
That is true.
But who knows? I genuinely could not tell you. What I will tell you is that they're pissed.
That's why they called a timeout.
Timeout was Deps. Hey, guys, remember to buy guns before you leave spawn. See what other tool tips can Daps give them. Yeah, you're gonna want to put your crosshair on their heads and then pull down as you spray.
That's
remember,
yes.
Click their heads before they click your heads, and you're good.
Just remember your fundamentals.
Just keep track of it. Nitro does have a gun this round. OC and Hext, unfortunately, are stuck on the pistols, but at least they're not Glocks.
I mean, he did get a kill with the Glock. So,
He did.
I mean,
it cost most of his health.
Yeah, and his teammates as well.
So it might have been a little more effective if he had a rifle there.
Probably.
But you know, you work with what you got. And what he had was a Glock. Look at the Molotovs devoted towards Porsche this time. They're going to be diligent about these clears. Super wary of a nade pop potential on that cubby smoke as well. They'll take the apartments instead. The flip side is I don't think Blue Jays are going to be giving them that same space to get out apps.
Yeah. I highly doubt it as well. Although, you see here, I mean, with Dare tucking into the site, he'll still be able to have visibility. Snav is the one doing the damage, coming up from Cub. He gets one, Bro trades him out, then George deals with Freshie. That leaves only one person, that was Dare. As I was talking about, he's hiding in the smoke now, in the shadow. Spots out one, but can't get the frag. Hex will get him, and that's a 4v2 for NRG, and another save immediately called, Mike, for the Blue Jays.
Another round win sectioned up. It's back and forth at this point, and NRG, it's a comfortable place to live in if you're the T side. Not so difficult for you to sustain. Obviously, you'd like to just clean sweep this, but if they're going to insist on winning the occasional round that you accidentally walk out spawn with a Glock in, well, then this is a good way to rally and answer. And again, we see that space out of apartments is an issue. Yes, this time Freshie is checking it, but by the time he does, there's 3 players looking at him, which is not how that fight is supposed to go if you're an apps anchor, or if you're a pit anchor, rather. Suboptimal.
Terrorists win.
They save the ult. That's nice. You do wonder whether some more aggressive control in towards the apartments might be on deck for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, they're being really passive about it. I think they do have to get more proactive, if not towards apartments, than into mid and try to see what's going on there. And I don't know. It's been very much just them waiting and seeing what's going to happen and come their way, which in CS2, even more than CSGO, is not a good idea, because when you have players peeking into your angle, oftentimes you're the one who's going to find your head taken off. So we'll see if Blue Jays do, in fact, try to get more aggressive. And you see 4 players stacked up towards this A site. At the very least, they've got a 3-man crossfire potentially over in bracket, but look, Hex is getting into the window room without really being hurt at all. They did the silent boost. Dare watching, waiting. Hex has the edge here. Ooh, doesn't hold the angle though and starts spamming. So Dare definitely heard that. Yeah.
Careful about that reload. Yeah, that was maybe a little bit ambitious.
Or he wanted them to think that there's more activity here. There's still 4 players on the A site, right? And the B hit could be a lot easier now.
If they executed. If they executed, there is an op here tucked into the emo corner. And as the smoke comes over, Snap will be sectioned off from his teammate. He can throw a flashbang to give him a little bit of cover. But it is ultimately going to be this up. Well, here's the exec. Re-smoke up. Smoke on towards coffins as well. It's going to be that op they have to contend with. They've got all the Molotovs for the site. It's just Slight. But he does have the biggest gun, and now he's a little tagged up. Slight not feeling so brave on these peaks. They're going to run him down. There's no escape. Turtled up in that corner, and they cracked his shell. Bomb down. And a quick kill for Bro with that salvaged AWP as he gets in towards New Box means that Blue Jays are going to tuck their tail between their legs and fly on out of here.
Man, Blue Jays are in a save simulator right now.
It's called Inferno.
Save. It is, yes. And also, it's starting to become Dust 2 as well. Similar story there. But yeah, Inferno's the worst of it in terms of save simulator. We've had this conversation before, but I really wish it was more viable to go for those retakes in these type of situations. Like, you see 3 players alive and still not going for it. I think there's a problem with the map at that point in a 3v4. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe something will change at some point. Either way, that's the reality at this stage, as NRG will take the 7th. And haven't looked too fussed, honestly, throughout the entirety of this half. Nitro, even so lackadaisical that he forgot to buy a gun in 1 round. We don't even know what happened there. But, yeah, Blue Jays need to challenge a little bit more. And like we were already mentioning in that previous round, some aggression, something a little different, more dynamic, take some risks rather than playing it safe every round. It's going to have to come through if they want to find success against a team like NRG.
NRG have adjusted. Some aggressive banana control. Util set up for it, at least from Blue Jays. They didn't actually do much behind it. There was one Molotov to rumble them. And so now NRG will be able to fill this space. So they're finding that banana control was a bit of a paper tiger, and even Blue Jays preemptively ripping a CT smoke before any contact was made. Look at the util, they just don't have much. Whenever the hit does come in, Blue Jays are going to be ill-equipped to defend. There's one more smoke. That's on Slight. He's over on B right now. And as the exec starts to come, top brackets. Players out of position. There's one in pit. There's one on the site proper. Now we got an arch trap here, but Slight spamming through that smoke does find one. Nade Pop doesn't see any other presence, but that's a huge kill to find to alleviate some pressure here. And Freshy finally finds the holding pit he's been looking for. Would love to have some fresh bullets, but they will enter his gun just in time. They can't save Dare, but they can secure the round.
Wow. All right. So hold worked out really well there. Just some spam through the smoke that ended up connecting on a frag. And after that, you know, the body started to drop. Great work from Freshy, maneuvering himself around that pit to gain the advantage on both lane and the players that were trying to sneak in for Moto. And yeah, you're going to see it here. I mean, didn't allow anyone to pass in this round. It just felt like there was a lack of utility there for NRG going for that take. There wasn't much disruption on the Blue Jays side, so they were comfortably maneuvering around, which is the big difference maker as to why they find success in this round versus the other ones where NRG were really dominating. Anyway, Molotov's going to sail in. Slight, speaking of util, takes a ton of damage from that Molotov and is eventually going to have to fade off here. Flashbangs for Banana, and Blue Jays have already kind of rescinded control to NRG. Guess they're hoping that that passive play can find success once more, but I'm not too sure about that, especially into this B site. The util's ready this time for NRG.
Fruit Cup's dry as well. It's just going to be snap dropping.
Yeah,
just got to smoke on a Molotov so we can stall this out a little bit.
He might have more util drop next to him, but yeah.
Fruit Cup's gone, and they're going quick into this. Snap will be able to find one on the spam, but the site is lost. Bro is perfectly willing to sacrifice himself to secure this. Just the MAC-10 lost, and with the bomb now planted, it's not the most appetizing of retakes. Do they know Hex here? They do. Dare clears that. It's nicely done. Banana becomes a threat. Player in towards the pool. They need to deal with this. Snav, unfortunately, did not have any teammates come along with him, so kind of got hung out to dry. But Freshy and Dare are able to clear out Banana, and Slight can creep back in, so it all falls to Nitro. Captain of the squad. Got too many targets. Freshy, with all those targets. Do they have a kit?
What's going on?
They have a kit. They have a kit. They have a kit. They have a kit. It's fine.
They just couldn't get the bomb. I don't think they could find it for a second. A little bit of a panic, but they do have the kit, and they are good to go. Nice retake, although OC getting caught out a little bit on in the open, I would say. Not necessarily the greatest spot in the post plant, and really made life difficult for Nitro at that point because Nitro just backed into a corner, and I believe they were aware of his presence, so they just triple peek him, and absolutely no chance at all. Good job from Blue Jays on the retake. And final round of play here of the first half. Yeah, not the best of buy-ups here for NRG, but they're forcing up whatever they can get. It's going to be 3 Galils, a Tech 9, and the Mac 10. And again, they're going to get Banana control. And they've been really good at taking the B site, even holding on to it. It's just Blue Jays over that last round managed to pull off the retake. And of course, having the man advantage helped. But and in the previous round, just it felt like NRG didn't really execute the way they wanted to.
Here comes the motion on in. Snap from the new box. Cleared out one. Looking for more. Fruit cup. Traded out. So an even situation with this bomb getting planted. There's still limitations, clearly. But if guns can be retrieved, it could go a long way. And as a rifle gets picked up for OC, his defense becomes a bit more resilient. Hex still just has that Mac 10. And his line to the bomb is not going to be great with the SMG. He takes an awkward bounce. First player unsuccessful despite a good flashbang. Now they are just one by one into the breach. Slight, you can't take that off with you. But you will be going into the half. back on in here. As it was quite the half for NRG. Some signs of life for the Blue Jays. They've perhaps done enough to give themselves a chance. But it was tough. A lot of rounds that they got swept right off of the sights. Let's see if they can do a little bit better with their own sweeping.
Yeah, it felt like it was when they won the rounds, it was more NRG making mistakes than necessarily Blue Jays doing things the way that we usually see here on a map like Inferno. But yeah, they didn't really break protocol in terms of being very defensive and didn't try to get aggressive at all. I guess that's what they came into this planning. So it did work out for 4-round victories. Like you said, Mike, I don't know if that's going to be enough, but we'll have to wait and see what this pistol round delivers. Bro is waiting here with that smoke. He tosses it on through. He's going to have a lot of company very shortly and just goes right through it, spamming the whole way and gets 2 with no visibility.
Are you kidding me?
What?
How is he still alive? He's gone back to tree.
He just spammed.
This is insane. They boosted up flower pots late. Oh boy, that's the bomb tonight. Nothing for you. Oh my goodness, bro. Throws his smoke and he's just he's playing a different game mode.
I don't know.
He's playing Infiniminer at this point.
Look at this.
Digging for gems.
He got the second one as he was strafing his crosshair across his screen.
Look, you got 30 bullets. You might as well use them all.
Yeah, just spam away in smokes, and you'll get frags on pistol round with those dualies. That is just ludicrous. Well, that's not good for the Blue Jays, that's for sure.
It's another full eco. They've committed to that without the bomb plant here. OC apparently doesn't need to see them. He might put his teammate down,
Jeez,
though. In his bloodlust. His berserker rage. Ooh, they've spotted a snav. Goodbye, a snav.
He was just seeing red there. Anyone near him. This is danger time.
Well, I think the problem was he wasn't seeing anything at all, John.
Yeah, no, I think for sure. I think he got a glimpse of something before the flashbang was thrown and thought it was an enemy and just fired a shot. But then I think it registered in his brain. He's like, wait, that didn't look like a T. And then after he takes it, you have those moments sometimes. Everyone does in CS. So it was all good. No one actually
his teammate just yelled, no, stop,
yes.
don't shoot.
That could have been it too.
That's my guess.
I think so.
Either way, OC's done his work. But this is where the real work begins. Now, there's a buyout. They've got AKs. They don't have any more flashbangs. That's a little tough. They are flashless. They will be fully dressed for the rest of this round.
Oh, Mike. Always good for a dad joke or two.
Smoked up, player tucked in, smoked the play around. The Molotovs have baited out a little bit of the CT util. But as they're coming in here, that Molly just not quite realize who's here. Oh, nice flashbangs on. A little bit overextended there. Snav not quite realizing he was exposed to top oranges. And now there's the punish. And with the smoke back up, there's nothing really for it here for the Blue Jays. They can wait and try again. But they've just lost Dare through another smoke. Things are going from bad to worse. Freshy's tagged up, but at least he can take out George. Now they've got an isolated player on this site. This is something working. Aggressive, that's the response. That's what you do here. Ambitious from NRG, but they don't realize that OC's the backstop. And he's ready. He's ready for the last. He will clear it all up there. You asked why, John? They knew they had one player alone on A and that they'd seen the rotator off. So you have a choice. You can bail out and shift the numbers, or you can take aggressive banana control. And they went balls to the walls.
You already have the man edge, so you don't necessarily have to be that aggressive. I mean, look, it all worked out in the end because who would have thought there'd be another player who's actually waiting and being patient, which is OC, and he actually just took care of business pretty handily, shut down what could have been a threatening round. Honestly, it shouldn't have been, but it ended up being that way. And OC will spray down Fruit Cup and Snap as well. The pistol's doing nothing at all here for the Blue Jays, except for Dare getting a headshot on George. But that is really a moot point at this stage because, you know, they only got 2 left standing. They weren't able to recover the gun either. Now they're trying to go through and get into those apartments in alt mid, but it's not low, no. Now Nitro spots them out. He knows exactly where this is going. He can warn Hex.
OC, more importantly, eyeballs on. And indeed, death by 1,000 paper cuts is a painful way indeed. Full house for Hex and OC. And we might just have the end of this map. There will be a bye at least here for the Blue Jays. They will not go out with a whimper. But 8 rounds in a row is a tough ask here, John.
Yeah, they haven't really looked like they've been able to compete with what NRG's been throwing their way throughout the entirety of this map, and I don't think that all of a sudden things will shift in their direction for 8 rounds in a row. Maybe one, maybe a couple, you know, because they got the guns out here. But it's going to take a lot. And they've got one player charging down Banana. Could be at risk here. That's Snav. He's trying to make something happen here as the IGL for Blue Jays. He might have to get out of here. Depends on the util that's addressed here. And it will be Bro getting the opener. Nitro with a trade after Dare gets 1. And it's a 4v3 advantage for NRG with no real space gained off of that for Blue Jays. And Fruit Cup walks out and exposes himself to apartments. Freshie manages to get 1 on Hex, though. And he does get the space onto the A side, but the bomb needs to join him.
Do they realize they're not watching the smoke? They're not watching the smoke. No one's checking it. They've gone past. Slight, he's got an op, though. It's going to be such an awkward fight with the AWP if he finds both back turn. But because they both got into apartments, this is insane.
Way.
This is just the ships in the night round. These players have been inches away from each other so many times. Slight's wondering where the presence has gone. Freshie's wondering where they've gone. What on earth is happening? Okay, well, now he knows 1, but the problem is in searching him out, George has found the bomb. And so it will be a team ace to see NRG through to victory. What an insane round to end it on. But in the end, it is all the same. Map 1 goes the way of NRG. Blue Jays never really get into that.
No, not at all. That was a bit of a sleep
against the Blue Jays. And so for the Blue Jays, it's up to them to punish. It's up to them to rebuff and push them back and show that we will not be bullied. Because until they show that, I suspect NRG will be doing some bullying.
No question. I mean, look, we even saw, like you said, a lot of that happening on Inferno. It definitely won't change on a map like Mirage, where you can bully a lot more. And, well, I think, yeah, Blue Jays starting on that T side. Just the logos are mixed up at the top, which is throwing me off a little bit, Mike, but I guess we'll get that fixed
We'll
in a
get
second.
that swapped around.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say was, you know, NRG get to start on that CT side since it's Blue Jays pick, which is not that much better for the Blue Jays in terms of their chance of coming out strong here in the opening moments.
Oh, flashbang into absolutely every player from the Blue Jays. Not going to be ideal, but OC is able to trade it up quickly. And OC actually playing this super aggressively. It's Nitro, sorry, who's doing so. Managed to find some space. Here we go. They're making their way on through. But it is going to be Hacks with the dualies to wipe away everybody. No bomb plant allowed. No pistol round at all.
Second time in a row on the CT pistol that NRG have had huge impact from those dualies. Previously on Inferno was Bro, who just spammed in the smoke and got one of the more ridiculous plays of the map. And here, well, Hex had the dualies and took care of business. There was a brief moment where Blue Jays were threatening, but NRG quickly closed the gaps and took care of business. Like you said, even some of the positions fairly aggressive, and they still got frags out of those positions, right? So, as we mentioned, NRG probably going to bully until Blue Jays stop them. There's an incendiary toss to the feet of Slight, takes a little bit of damage, and that will deter them, at least for the time being, away from this B site. Still a lot of time left on the clock for this maneuver, but in this round, we're not expecting much, right, Mike? I mean, there's only a Deagle bot up, that's it.
OC might have his hands full. A1S isn't always the ideal gun for this many players. Target-rich environment. Did he spot?
I think he did.
Seems to have an idea. He's going to get two. And there's Nitro there for the third. Although, hold on. Hold on. Don't hold on anymore. Hold off. Let go.
Release. Unwind. Relax.
I'm feeling relaxed, John.
Third round of play. The Blue Jays will have the guns out now, but yeah, that was pretty much as you would expect. OC gets the spot, backs off, couple of frags before he falls, but it's more than enough as the rest of his team jumps in to support. All right, Blue Jays looking for that mid control. I don't know if Dare realized. Yeah, he does. Okay. Burning away because he was flashed. Might not have realized he was in the incendiary, but quickly adjusts. Snav takes some damage to try to gain this space, but they've already lost Fruit Cup. Great shot. That was actually right next to Snav. So the bullet might have been destined for him, but ends up in his teammate. Bro will get another one onto Freshie. 5v3 here, and already look at Snav and Slight. They're low. Snav at 57, Slight at 20. It's not looking great, Mike.
No. They've been torn apart, peppered up. Just waiting to be salted. They're just trying to create a little bit of space. Snav actually does find a kill around the edge of that smoke in towards jungle. That's huge. They're looking to create more, but OC plucks Slate away from this. And all the while, Nitro is creeping ever closer on this Palace flank. Poke out from OC.
Oh,
He
okay.
does get punished, but exposed now. Nitro can bring this one through.
At least made it interesting there, getting that frag on towards OC. I thought OC would have had their number, but no, he couldn't get another frag. He already had two on the round, which is pretty good, and the op will be recovered anyway, and the bomb gets defused. So Blue Jays make a case for themselves at the very least in this round, but it's still going to lead to a defusal and an NRG third on the board. Yeah, I mean, that was a nice shot from Snav at the very least. You know, good lineup, good crosshair placement, but again, by that time, they'd already lost so many bodies that they couldn't recover.
Looking like this might be a Palace pop. Flashbangs over from Lamp. Try and waterfall out with a couple players. Hope for the best. It's a classic. They're in position to do so. There's contact here from the underpass. Here they go. Unsuccessfully. Nitro sprays down two. Oh, a miss.
Oh, that's a little...
Couple misses. There we go. Third time's the charm, as they say. And it is only the one casualty.
The old flip side tactics sticker there on OC's op. That's a classic.
Just a big
4 to
Markov
nothing.
guy.
Yeah. Oh my god. What a throwback. I feel old.
John, I hate to break it to you.
Yeah. You don't have to. I know.
OC collects on the first, in towards Windows. Slight went looking for that fight, and he found it. He found that fight. Didn't go the way he was hoping. Haxed aggressive here in the apartments, and once again, this is a round that is just a non-starter for the Blue Jays. They are getting decimated on these first contacts.
Yeah, I mean, really just no chance at all. And NRG, they're just running the standard set of util towards mid, throwing the smoke, throwing the incendiary towards top mid, and just creating a lot of pressure for the Blue Jays. And as soon as they get those frags, they retreat, and they settle into their two-man edge. Not sure what the plan is right now for the Blue Jays either, because the bomb is by itself going towards ramp. I guess they're going to try and pincer in, but bomb being alone is not great, and Bro could win the round right here just by fragging Fruit Cup. 38 seconds left too. Yeah, it's done.
It likely already was.
Yeah, probably.
But now it is more done.
Is.
And now it is officially done. And this was just 5 isolated fights. 5 individual brawls from the Blue Jays. And 5 duels won by NRG. Didn't look very strenuous.
No.
They made it look easy here, John.
It's... How do I put this nicely?
A blowout?
Yeah. And more. I just didn't expect it to be a blowout coming into this, Mike.
No, I expected there to be some resistance here from Blue Jays. I know
absolutely.
they're not having the best of time of things right now. But this is a team with a lot of competent players. And a team that has seemed to put together a pretty competent system for a good long while. But the wheels have come off at an unfortunate time. Snav is looking to put those wheels back on.
Okay, here we go.
He's got his tire iron out. He's got the car jacked up. He's putting a new tire on. Torque wrench is there. Lights in the window. Nitro's traded. That hero AK. Paying dividends. Bro doesn't know where to go. But at least he'll collect a kill on the way out. Hex is gonna give this a look.
There's really no reason for him not to have a look. The guns have been recovered, though, by the Blue Jays now. Snav with the AWP and Fruit Cup with the AK. And they're throwing a couple of smokes in here towards CT. Hex going to jump above it. Probably dead. Yeah, there it is. All right. So a round on the board for the Blue Jays. Looked pretty good, honestly. They managed to get a frag towards mid and get that mid control that, honestly, NRG were dominating up until that round. So it's good for them, and it was just the pistols that ended up being the key to their success. Now they'll be back to the rifles, and hopefully for their sake, they can get a bit of a run going here. They're going to get that mid smoke thrown immediately, and then a Molotov in for connector. This is really just to attract NRG's attention, I believe, as Slight gonna get a nice shot onto OC, winning the op duel. So that's a very solid start for the Blue Jays. And now NRG only have 1 player on this B site, and it's going to be difficult for reinforcements to arrive. I think George is thinking about going there, but at this point, they really don't know where Blue Jays are going to go because that mid control is completely lost. No information at all.
George looking for that poke, trying to bring something back, but nothing afforded to him for the moment. With this control ramp, Nitro could be in a tricky spot. Question is Fruit Cup looking for it? Got rumbled in this position once before. This time, prepared. Nice peek there from Fruit Cup. Means that it is down to just Bro and Hex. And they might be half a mind to saving. But saving is not on the table here. Rushy is out. And Hex had no idea. So, Bro, where do you even go to find safe haven? That's the question he's trying to answer right now.
Just going to tuck and tick it. Eventually you'll see Fruit Cup and gain the edge here. Yeah, there's a free kill. But in a 1v3, no reason for him to go into it. Just going to save that AK. If he can get away, he does escape without being spotted by Freshy. But he might still have a couple of fights on his hands to keep this gun safe.
Scooping the utility could. As long as he tucks into the corner here, it seems like they're going to allow him to leave relatively uncontested. But he's going for a look. He's going for a look, and there's Slight just on the other side. Won't crest the hill. Won't encounter the AWP. So a second round on the board here for Blue Jays. They are building back into this. They are making this a lot less one-sided. And now with the economy cracked, the question for NRG is how much skin do they want to put behind this? The answer, probably not a ton.
No, I think they're going to be conservative here. There's really no reason to force up with the 3-round lead. And you have the AK, so maybe you can post that up. Half buy is good. A couple of 5.7s, couple P250s, and a decent chunk of util to work with. more than enough to give you a chance at winning the round and doesn't break the bank. Oh, bro. Oh, done. Tried to get aggressive there, and Freshy spotted him out. And Freshy's going to need be a player they're going to need to pop off here if they're going to hope to find success on Mirage. And here they come. Oh, my goodness. Dare dropping down and insta-headshotting George. That's the B site taken. And I think NRG, they don't have to save, right? Because they're going to be buying the next round anyway. But the pistols, you know, and then a little bit of util and armor, why not?
So now we're starting to build the case here. Yeah, starting to build the narrative for how this might happen on the Blue Jays side.
Well, Hex. Okay, I won't get anything. I'm going to have to see a little bit more, to be honest with you, Michael. We're going to have to see that next gun round. Nitro gets only one before he falls. Will OC get another? OC? No. Lots of damage done, but not enough to do more economic damage to the Blue Jays. So there's that third. But yeah, like I said, I need to see the Blue Jays come out with some more convincing wins once NRG have the guns in their hands before I can consider them really getting into this. But yeah, at the very least, the lead has been cut down to 2.
Well, you're going to get your wish here because there are guns in NRG's hands.
Show me, Blue Jays.
They have no kits, so retake is not an ideal prospect. But they do have guns. That is a lot of flashbangs.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you've got guns back. We're just going to bomb into B. Throw everything we've got. Takes the control up and towards mid. Boost up. That's a little awkward there for Bro. The timing catches him off guard. But George forced forward by a Molotov will find himself a kill and safe haven here in the ladder room.
That's a really nice play onto Bro, honestly. I mean, good trade from George as well to kind of settle things down into mid, but they've lost that mid control, and George just holding here from ladder room, waiting for players to come through. In the end, they are going to go back to this B site. Hex is still watching from Cat, as Freshy and Snap slowly but surely make their approach.
His attention's focused off.
Yeah.
George burned low. They're anticipating this play to come through. He wants to be able to play with his teammate. It does mean that that bomb is creeping ever closer. Hex, eyes back.
Ooh.
Got some shots out, but now Slight collects. They are in trouble. The bomb crosses, leave themselves super exposed to Slight. Where was this mid presence? Nitro's gone on a long flank, but now Slight's looking for it because he heard him rotating back, and OC just never gets to stick back into this round. Let's punish Dare early, but far from making this a possibility.
I liked what I saw there from Blue Jays. Okay. All right. They're in the conversation now. Very nicely done in OC. It's not OC, excuse me. Slight with 3 beautiful op frags. Might be dead here. No! He hits the shot even though OC's holding for it. A 4K on the round. Drops all the guns that NRG are handling in that round. And that means it's going to be an eco for the NRG squad going to this next one. That is really well done from the Blue Jays. They took their time, didn't rush into anything, winning the aim duels. NRG looked like they're fighting their crosshairs all of a sudden. Yeah, except for that one on that George got. Everything else, not that great. Timeout going to be called, and for good reason. I mean, NRG were very much in full control going all the way back to map number 1. But the Blue Jays winning 4 in a row have probably got them shaking their heads a little bit, saying, wait, what's going on right now? Full credit to the Blue Jays, of course, and, you know, everyone's kind of pitching in here. I do appreciate their B takes. I think they've been fairly solid, and they're continuing to lean in that direction. So we'll see if NRG makes an adjustment, because even their Hex, I thought he had at least 1. Usually he's good for 1 from that position from Cat. He plays it a lot, and no, this time couldn't connect with the heads, even though he had a couple of opportunities at it.
Yeah, timings just seemed a little off in terms of when he was holding what. But that's something Blue Jays will be looking to continue to exploit. So perhaps mistakes from the NRG camp, but equally as successful from the Blue Jays.
Yep.
Careful on these info hops. Gets away with that one. Now they do know where the op is. George has an HE. George threw his HE. Didn't find anyone. OC's in Ninja. They're actually begging this to be a B take. What Blue Jays are thinking right now is we know we had contact, we know we showed face, and we showed the op, which you know isn't going to be alone. There hasn't been any response. And their spidey sense is tingling. The hairs on their back of the neck standing up, and they're wondering if this is in fact a pistol stack.
I mean, they're going to have to decide what they're going to do soon. They look so back
But look
and
now,
forth here.
they look like they're going back into B, and meanwhile, the stack has been disassembled. A push in towards top mid is getting the information. That'll send OC on the flank, but there's no longer a player in the ninja spot. Oh boy, but there are 4 pistols here and a flank coming on in. NRG have called this shot. They are correct. Let's see if they can capitalize. It's all about the execution now, but so many pistols are going to be an absolute melee. And look at that. The 5.7s are chewing them up and spitting them out. One by one, they falter, and OC doesn't even get to get in on the fun. That was a massacre.
That is as good as it gets on an eco round for any team. All 5 survive. It's 4 AKs and an op for free for $0. That's an instant boost and foundation on the CT side economy. Sure, there's only a couple rounds left in the half, but still, it'll help them regardless of the outcome of this one. In terms of their buyout for that last round, just wild stuff, honestly. And the Blue Jays just constantly back and forth, second-guessing themselves, overthinking what they wanted to do. And then by the time they made their decision, NRG was clearing out space on the map and saying, you know what? Let's gamble B. And every single player was there. OC was coming in on a flank because he was the one going on that journey across the map to see what was happening. And they knew exactly what was coming their way. Crazy that they didn't lose a single body in the process either. And that is one the Blue Jays almost certainly want back because it would have been a tied scoreline. Instead, NRG extend their lead back to 2, and it could get worse for the Blue Jays from here.
Indeed. Or, unless Nitro burning, forced out, he's dropped, a couple kills coming through. Bro now needs to put in some work if they're going to survive. He's able to get him safe quarter. Here in Con. Out of smoke pop. This could get interesting. Middle click smoke pop. No one quite seen, and the spam ineffective, but Hex clears out the first towards Ticket. There's a flank here from Cat. And Bro somehow spins to find it. It comes down to the clutch. It's just left to Snav. That nade doesn't go deep enough. Need to gain this ground. Need to gain this real estate. Bro is waiting for the peek out from Snav, but Snav's not going to do anything until he hears the tap of the bomb. Well, I lied. He did. He did do something. And now he is swinging very wide. And it'll work.
All right. Well, the Blue Jays still managed to pull it off despite what was a very tough round in the previous. I mean, look, good job gaining the space in towards the A site, and they really isolated NRG well. Bro somehow managing to get a couple of frags there, and then at the end, he knew where the last player was, but he'd run out of util, and it's just kind of a shame for him anyway that he threw that nade so shallow, because if he throws a lot deeper, it creates a bigger problem for Snav, and, you know, obviously it would have been much lower in terms of health. Maybe an easier clean, but as it stands, Blue Jays do clutch the 1v1, and they keep hope alive for themselves. That's another important piece. Going into what could be potentially now a 6-6 tied scoreline. Nate, I thought I was going to do more damage to Slade, honestly. He gets away with 65 health. Doesn't really matter as he's the opper, but still. Some early damage for NRG. And they're just going to collapse mid. Oh my goodness, and it works so well, Mike. 3 frags instantly.
And they have bomb. They have bomb. They don't even know it yet, but they have bomb. It's been left top mid. It's been totally exposed. You got a player in ramp. You got one coming up the underpass, and it is just left to Fruit Cup. Fruit cup will not have enough fruit for this one. The cup runneth empty for Blue Jays, but still 5 rounds gives them a darn good chance as we swap sides when we come back. Live into the server for what could be the final half of play here. Blue Jays, though, they get the CT side. You'd hope that give them the chance to mount a defense here, and they're certainly going to be hoping it. Coming on strong there late in the half, in the first. Do you believe, John?
Honestly, yeah, a little bit more than before. Because that, especially with the end of that second half, right, where they managed to pull together quite a few rounds in a row. And looked effective at disrupting NRG. That said, what makes me perhaps a little more doubtful is how effective NRG are on their two sides. As I say that, they're getting melted away.
You think Blue Jays might have known where that pistol round was going?
Perhaps so, yeah. That was a hard read, Mike.
Remember, folks, mix up your pistols.
Have a couple or 3 different pistols per map.
Successful gamble there for the Blue Jays. Stack the spot they needed, and so they get to start this half off on the right foot. Freshie did actually catch Dink in that duel. There as well. No need to lose bodies here. Snav is dinked up. This is getting weird. The Glocks are finding a lot more damage than one would naturally expect from them.
Oh my god.
Oh boy. Okay. There are 3 players who are very, very low indeed. You can tell how nervous they are. There is no way that Rifle should be playing this scared against Glocks, but Slight is corralling it. Now it just falls to Hext. 4 HP. This should not be doable. NRG have gotten this so very close to being interesting. But it's going to stay relatively clean for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, this is actually the most rounds the Blue Jays have gotten up against NRG since they started playing against them in February 8th of this year. The last 2 engagements were 13-5 for NRG and 13-6. So at the very least, it's progress for the Blue Jays. That said, here comes the true test of this half to see if the Blue Jays have got the mettle to pull off this second map victory and send us to a third map. Critical round. NRG coming through with the guns. Util, it's not that bad, not great, but very much serviceable. Bro and Hex are going towards the underpass here. And I believe they're going to try and collapse on mid. Blue Jays are playing very passively, similar to the way they played on Inferno, right? They didn't really try to go for aggressive fights, and you'd expect a little bit more of that on Mirage, even though Inferno you need it as well. But here, trying to challenge for some mid control is usually just standard. Okay, Freshie does get aggressive into Palace. There you go. 1 out to Nitro.
A 5v4 established, advantage available. Very spread look from NRG for the moment. They're going to start to group up in towards mid. Seems like a split B might be on the cards, based on this apartment's presence. Give them a lot of room. Molotovs to clear the angles to get these footholds through the smoke. There are 3 players now here in the defense. They've rallied. Now they've dropped the bomb. OC going ahead of this. Not sure what the reroute from Bro was about, but he's been completely cut off from his teammates as they are all in the grave. And he is still in the here and now.
All right, here we go. Blue Jays are here. 8-7 lead. They completely shut down that buy-up for NRG. Snav with a 2K. And this is what I was expecting to see from them. Snav in particular and Dare as well. These guys used to be on Timberman. They were a nightmare to face off against pretty much any team when it came to Mirage. But as of late, it hasn't looked that great for them. Now, finally, Snav activating. The rest of the squad, too, it's not just those two, right? Evenly spread across the board in terms of the frags. So everyone's starting to contribute here. And on the other side, it is pretty much similar in terms of fragging, but it's just not that dominance that we saw in Inferno. Even the early goings of this map, NRG maybe just got a little too complacent, a little too comfortable, and Blue Jays taking advantage of that.
Hack spray down. OC does get an answer, but the bodies are falling thick and fast here. If they get a bomb plant out of this, they'll be happy. And OC will be able to confirm those numbers. Bro brings another bell. Hold on. Bro with the deagle is making things very exciting indeed. Freshie. Body shot's connected, but it's going to fall to OC. Stuck in at the firebox. He's looking for a fight. He's looking for a duel. He's staying relatively healthy, but 2 players facing him is just too much to bear. It's called firebox for a reason, and that Molotov flushed him. Going to be a defuse on. Bro gave us a little bit of excitement here, but it is still a Blue Jays round.
Yeah, and honestly, an expensive one, right? 3 players are going to have to reinvest. They have the money, so they're okay, but in the long run, that might make a difference there for NRG, depending on the outcome of this next upcoming round. But yeah, Bro got those 2. I thought he had the third, honestly. If he gets that third onto the stairs player, then all of a sudden you're looking at a 2v1 and probably an NRG round victory. So good on the Blue Jays to keep their composure and shut them down. Good to see it again. That second shot was absolutely dirty. And then Fruit Cup comes back to honestly settle things down and make sure that Bro can do no more damage to them. 2-round lead for the Blue Jays. And now NRG. I mean, to be honest, the timeout might not have been a bad idea before starting this round, just to talk things over and maybe get themselves back into this. Get their heads in the game. Molotov gonna get tossed. Fruit Cup gonna get pushed back. Slight playing up close here. Oh, Freshy's down to 5. That was over in Palace, and George finishes him off. Snav gets the trade onto Bro. Hex looking to clear under Palace, and I think they're going to get that Molotov, and yes, Light's dead. There's no way. Nothing you can do to get out of that. Snav, good for the trade, though. It only takes a lot of damage here, Mike. 3v3.
Let's give them a chance. Giving them an opportunity here. Snav, not wanting to go for the reload. Swaps to a fresh magazine. That was a bold face. George able to get away with his life, but only just. Falls to Fruit Cup in the clutch, but he knows that a player's tagged up. Fruit Cup's getting active. Fruit Cup swinging through the box. He finds the one, but the headshot for Nitro will keep this within spitting distance for NRG.
Oh, wow. Nitro, well done. I mean, the IGL here for NRG still able to perform at a very high level in terms of his mechanics. He's not always needing to rely on that. More often than not, he's setting up his team with some excellent flashbangs and ensuring that they are the ones that will find the success. But when he is called upon, he really can deliver. And that was a key 1v1 for him to get. Not to mention the 1v1, but also before that, you know, he came through and got a key frag to keep the numbers even. And of course, pave the path to an 8th round victory. Now the lead's cut down to 1. Blue Jays, there's that money situation we were kind of alluding to before. Because of the damage Bro does with that Deagle, you're seeing the bank accounts are drained. Freshy, Dare, Snav, Fruit Cup, and Slight, all of them below $200 in the account. Dare going to toss that nade. Does a little bit of damage, not too much. George just going to hold the line. Blue Jays looking for the info hop. NRG taking their time on this one.
This is a save. Pull the ripcord.
Wow.
You lost the one. You lost the space. Accept that you lost the round. Walk away, the Blue Jays. So we are going to be all tied up here.
Bro. They're going to chase, yeah.
Bro's hungry for the hunt. Didn't quite get it on that contact, and there's no sense throwing away rifles here.
No. I thought Bro was going to go a little bit further because, you know, it's okay for one player to try and hunt a little bit, but...
Thought he had an AK. Thought there'd be more penetration on that wood panel.
Yeah. Well, that's one way to mitigate the fact that there's no money left after this buy-up. You just bring it to the next round. Only one gun lost. NRG will be tying the scoreline up once more at 9-9.
You know, they say, an op saved is an op earned.
I don't know if they say that, Mike.
I've heard it.
Have you?
People are saying.
Which people?
The people.
All right.
Wouldn't disrespect the voice of the people, would you, John?
No, of course not. How could I? To trust the people. Maybe
Foster
they mean
the people.
Maybe they mean. Wow. Perhaps an op skin saved is an op skin earned?
That wouldn't.
I don't know. That doesn't really work.
That doesn't really make sense.
No, it doesn't at all.
You can't earn an op skin in the round.
I mean,
or can you?
can you?
Is that what Valve wants you to think?
Yeah.
If you just digged beneath the streets of Mirage, would you find all the dragon lores your heart could desire? Freshy's finding everything his heart desires, which is Bro streaking out with no one to trade him. Ouch. I know he's here. And he did not quite realize what he was swinging back into. Nice shot for George. The Snav dealt with on the platform. Dare would love to get his hands on that gun. It's not going to happen.
Two very ill-advised peaks coming in from the Blue Jays there. OC and Nitro were just waiting, hoping that that would happen because they had the perfect setup to shut down at least one player, right? But I think they were expecting maybe a trade to come through, but when it doesn't, I'm surprised that another peak comes in because they know, well, the Blue Jays, that is, they should have known.
Dare just had a USP, so he was trying to get onto the platform. Get that gun. Would have been nice. It's not to be. Fruit Cup punishes the first hunt. And that may be the only hunt because, well, never mind. It will not be. Nitro's on the case.
That is clean.
And he is patient. He's sitting in the deer blind. He's not going tracking. He's not running through the brush trying to find this. He's settling in, and he's waiting for that kill to serve itself up.
Slight will save the op. That's the important part. AWP carried it. Well, I mean, it's pretty important. They can't buy in this next round. It is the most
important part.
Yeah.
All the parts are the most important. Well, all the parts are important, but that's the most important part.
There you go.
It's like, you can deal with losing a kidney, but the heart, Slide's got the heart. Livers grow back.
Sorry, Mike. I don't know if that's something I want to think about losing.
That's pretty crazy to me that you can, if as long as you have a partial liver, it'll grow back.
It is actually really crazy. It'd be cool if that happened with all of our organs.
Only livers for whatever reason, as I understand it.
It is only livers, yes, that's correct. We need to figure out the secret to the liver. Yeah.
Behold, the secret of the liver! The secret of the B site is that there was not a lot of defense, and NRG have sussed out that secret, and they have dealt with that defense. Fruit Cup, okay, Fruit Cup. May not have been on the site proper, but he's got a heck of an influence upon it, bro. He's volleying the swing, and Nitro's now collected and dealt with A. They took B, found that B was maybe not as vacant, and then they said, all right, fine, keep B. We'll take your other site. We got it all. What do you got? And now Bro's taking B again.
What is happening? There's no way the Blue Jays make it out of this round. I mean, Bro's got a flank easily here on Slide. He can knife him even. He could choose to do so. No.
Boy, Bro has made a hash of it. Pulled the trigger early. Slide had zero clue. And now, I mean, Snav is thinking about the defuse. They don't have kits, though, is the problem, and that bomb is very exposed. So Snav is, he's gone. He's not about this. I mean, it is a blessing for Blue Jays that this op is going to live.
Yes. Bro just had to not do that, basically, and he would have had one, probably two frags. But maybe the mouse hit his keyboard, who knows, and Slight's going to get another one.
He's having a great map. We'll give him that.
He is.
You get a boo-boo.
It happens.
Provided they win this next one, all is forgiven.
Yeah.
If not, we might get overtime, so make that what you will.
I think it depends on how the Blue Jays, if the Blue Jays win, how they win it as well. Because if it's like down to a 1v1, then their economy's still going to be kind of shot, and it'll be a tough buy up in the next. NRG still has money, so I wouldn't necessarily say that overtime is a foregone conclusion if a 10th comes through. But becomes a lot more likely for sure. Anyway, NRG are setting up for a full-on A hit here. They've got Bro over at mid. If Bro nice flash. Beautiful flash, in fact. Freshie sets up the frag for Snav, and Snav knocks it down. 5v4 in favor of Blue Jays, but now NRG is going to filter it and hope they can win the duels. They are not doing that very cleanly at all. In fact, they only get one, and OC, along with the rest of his team, is completely gone. There's the 10th, and it's pretty clean. That means that Blue Jays will have a very strong buy up into this one, and NRG, well, they might have to scrape the bottom of the barrel, but they should still have a decent chunk of util with the AKs.
Yeah, they'll make it work. They will make it work here, but the Blue Jays not going down without a fight. Looking to make it happen here. This is still very much in the realms of possibility. Going for the heavy stack in towards B. Look at this aggression. They're getting very aggressive in towards power, or the apps rather. But this seems to have been a ruse just to plant the player on the platform and then have Slight be able to jump spot for him. Scope in deep with that AWP. As it is, this setup is not likely to be tested. It looks like we're getting an A set.
Yeah, pretty similar to the previous round, except they are going to throw some smokes into mid to try and distract the attention of the Blue Jays.
It makes sense. There's no vision for Blue Jays. They have no cat player. The window player was holding super passive. They have no information on the middle of the map. That does allow them to have more numbers here towards A. But the op's not here. And they might be missing that. Freshie is trying to do his best to comfort them. Molotov went a little too deep. So Freshie's able to collect another out of it. It was Fruit Cup, rather. That bomb needs to be retrieved from on top of Tetris. It's a bit of an awkward spot for it to have fallen. And speaking of fallen, Fruit Cup has collected 2 more. It falls to Pro. Alone. 1 man against the world. And that man is probably saving.
Forget about overtime, Mike. Blue Jays could take this in regulation now.
They could indeed. Not the C4.
Counter-terrorists win.
They could indeed, John, and they might just do so. The question for NRG is, do we want to save here and play for OT, or do we want to risk it all for the biscuit? Got that saved gun from Bro. Going all in?
They're going to call a timeout. Yeah, they have to.
Gotta talk about this.
Yeah, this is too important of a round not to discuss this. It's their second timeout of the map. And they're going to say, look, guys, what do we do? Bro's nodding up and down. He's saying, yes, subtly. Let's go, guys.
Go for it.
Buy up.
By Tech9s. Follow me into the breach. Nuke is the decider if we get to it. Couple smokes. A flashbang. I don't think they're following him into the breach.
Just playing for OT.
Time to find out if Bro can hero rifle through this round.
No.
No.
We got
That is
our
the one
answer.
set of armor. That is the hero rifle. Absolutely deleted. Went for the yeet up catwalk strat, and it did not work. So we called his shot. His shot was unsuccessful. The P250, though, a little bit more so. Smoke thrown to try and retrieve this bomb. But timing is going to be of the essence, and, well, even if you do retrieve the bomb, I don't really know where OC's going to go with it. Package collected. And a gap that one could imagine is fast dissipating. And Snav will secure map point for the squad.
I'm just surprised Bro was kind of alone there in his attempt to take that mid control. I thought maybe they put the pistols out first and open up some space and create discord if you're going to have the AK in that position. But instead, the AK is the tip of the spear, which isn't necessary in that type of buy-up or that type of situation anyway. But there's only so much you can do, and Blue Jays are on point. Fruit Cup in particular looking strong. Freshie stepping up, but yeah, it's Fruit Cup and Snav and Slight that have really been the most impactful players here for the Blue Jays, and a big reason why they're sitting on map point right now and a chance to push to nuke, and I would say neither team will really have an advantage on that map. I would even say that Blue Jays could be the ones perhaps a little bit favored. They got a pretty good veto. We didn't really talk about this, but in terms of the amount of times NRG has played the maps that we're on right now, it's not their best. Like, literally, the Blue Jays managed to get it to a point where maybe there is the argument that they could take this series, and at least they're playing like we expected them to, Mike, coming into this. And this map, anyway. NRG stalling out a little bit. 1 minute left, Mike, for them to make a move. Haven't really done much.
Got a little bit of apps control. They got top mid boxes, a re-smoke into the window, a smoke in towards Con. This is going to get Bro a little bit more active. This looks like a split B. But Blue Jays are thinking the same thing I am. And so Snav is floating back to support that B site. Crew Cup's in position. He has, as per usual, been very impactful. And now here comes the hit. A fruit cup traded out 1 for 1. Is that going to be enough? Nitro cleans out the player from backbench, and now it's trouble on. They may not know Snav is here, but he's going to reveal himself. Now a 3-on-3 on site. If they can get this kill on Snav, the bomb can get planted on down, but Snav maneuvering, pressing forward when he knows they're holding up the flank, and that's the bomb drop. Now it has to be a kill. There's not time otherwise. No need to face. And that's been calmed over. Freshie just has to run NRG. They cannot chase up the kill.
No way.
And so the clock expires and the map gets away from them. Blue Jays conquer. One fatal swing to fight the door, and more than was bargained for. We're going to nuke here, John.
Yeah, Blue Jays, they're exceptionally strong, Mike, regardless.
Gorillas are like 4.4 feet
They're pure
tall.
muscle.
Sure. They still get tired. There's 100 men.
I don't think we ever need to find out the true answer to it, but
No, we
I
don't.
can understand why this is a discussion.
I think like 20 dudes take down a gorilla, to be honest, provided
Okay.
they're coordinated.
But
You're telling me you throw 2 guys at each leg, 2 guys at each arm, and 2 guys go for the throat? You telling me that gorilla's having a great time? I don't think so.
I don't think they'd be able to hang on for long. A girl just...
All right, well, I don't know who the gorilla and who the 100 men is in this situation, but we've got 10 men in a server right now ready to go toe-to-toe, blow for blow.
I do want to continue the discussion, though, Mike. This is quite
You know, we're going to have to leave this discussion alone, John.
We will.
This is playoff ESL Challenger
We're
League
coming back
Counter-Strike.
to it at some point.
That will be for a different night then.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Nitro, he's got the util. And this is looking like it's probably a ramp hit. It is, in fact, in case you're wondering, a ramp hit. There was no one to be hit. It's just ramp. The adjustment has come in for Blue Jays. They sent 2 players skittering on down for this. A third to join them. A 4th. And everybody's here. Blue Jays have read this. They had the contain in J-Hall. So they're confident in this positioning. The Molotov's a little late, which means the players are passing. The casualties have been massive here for NRG. We've seen them turn these rounds around before, though. And Nitro, well, he just can't quite get through that window.
Yeah, it was a good effort by Nitro, of course, but like you mentioned, just couldn't get through the window, got caught a little bit, and I mean, it would have been a ridiculous effort if he actually managed to pull it off. There were just so many bodies in his way, and eventually, well, those bodies pile on and take care of business. 1-0 in favor of the Blue Jays. Obviously, nuke a CT-sided map, not as much as it used to be, but it still does very much lean in that direction, so we'll see if NRG can pick up some T-side rounds. This one will probably be, I would say, a Blue Jays round victory, but maybe NRG can squeeze through a bomb plant. We'll see what these Tech 9s can do. George and Nitro carrying them. They're going to move out. Freshie's got a good grasp on the situation. There's a couple of frags. He doesn't take pretty much any damage. 18 HP. It's not too much to worry about. And Snap comes through to support him as well. So this one is very much dealt with, but there's that bomb plant I was talking about. Hex slips it through.
Money made. Slip that one past the dealer. Gonna take that every day of the week if you're NRG. Even if he's suspended over a very neon blue vat of water. Electric blue, they say, John.
It's not the water you want to touch. Pretty sure it's coolant.
Well, coolant or water. I think usually they just use water, right? Because it steams up.
You might be
I think
right.
it's mostly water in a nuclear power plant. And then you dunk the fuel rods in that to cool them. And that's what's coming out the top of those giant smokestacks. Just
That
steam.
would make sense, yeah. I mean, nuclear power plants are fairly clean, right? Oh, we won't get into that discussion.
I
Let's move on.
believe they are, but that is not a discussion either of us are qualified to
No,
have.
not at all.
Actually, my off-time from Counter-Strike, I pursued a PhD in nuclear physics. Also, that I could better understand the map of Nuke.
We'll leave
I
that
am
to the
dedicated to
professionals.
my craft. Just don't ask me what I'm building in my garage.
What?
Snap is down lower. Secret has been gained by Nitro. And that same Nitro will find himself a kill. Dare, though, a punish overlooked in the garage, and he will make them hurt for it. George does have space towards heaven, though, and I don't know if they're going to realize how far he's gotten. Fruit Cup seems to be aware. Or at least paranoid. But he's not. It's not paranoia if the world is, in fact, out to get him. And now, certainly, it has been revealed. These positions, not actually very useful. Braving the Molotov. Bro does confirm that kill to bring this into a 2v2. They seem to have a decent idea that Fruit Cup should be here over the lip. They're going to play together. Flashbang doesn't really clear Fruit Cup. He holds his trigger finger as well, and his patience is rewarded.
Well, this is the dream start for the Blue Jays here on Nuke. I mean, they've managed to rebuff NRG's full buy. They get back and find themselves a third, and now NRG are back onto the eco. Let's see what NRG have got up their sleeves in this round. I would say a half buy is going to come through. Might go for another quick play, maybe a vent drop. They've got the util for it. And of course that full loss bonus kicking in the next round, so they can invest a little deeper than they usually would in these types of situations. Looks like they are still going to take their time. This is not looking like it'll be a quick pop, at least not in the early goings of the round. George and Bro are trying to come out here. Bro, I think he exposed himself, but that smoke was thrown, so he's back behind cover, and then a nade sails in towards Mini. NRG, hoping that something can materialize here. Oh, that's not going to help at all. Smoke spam is good for Dare.
Vent drop. Vent drop has succeeded. Chance at a bomb plant. Nitro, it's a race. And it's a race he seems to be winning. No one wants to be the first guy to follow him down that vent drop because they know a bullet would be waiting for them if he had decided to hold. So, bomb plant successful, but only that.
I mean, it's pretty solid, right? Given that they already saved up some money here in this eco round, and the extra $600 will make it a very comfortable buy-up in that next. But they're still staring down at a 4-0 deficit right now.
Yeah, it makes it a much stronger buy here. But I think the Blue Jays are content with how this map has started.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question.
Still with the guns up. Here's your chance, NRG. Impress us.
Yeah, and I mean, considering the way the previous two started as well, right? Because NRG were in control at the beginning of both Mirage and Inferno. This is the first time the Blue Jays have been able to nurse a lead like this. All right, NRG moving in, looking to get some yard control. At least one player is. Some util being tossed. Blue Jays are really aggressive here. They got a player up at red box, one right outside of Mini, so they're trying to pressure NRG and prevent them from getting any space, and I kind of like it.
Snav pokes up. The trade's instant, but still, they're not going to expect Freshie here as the second layer. That's the thing. You're really not going to expect this spot. Paranoia from George. He almost suzzes it out. Doesn't quite realize what he's seeing, though. And somehow, still, NRG have turned this into a favorable situation. Osi's put in some serious work here. That's going to be left to Slight, who's going to make the aggressive move. Osi's holding for it. But he just doesn't have the health for the duel, so it falls to the clutch. Hext and Slight. Slight's trying to preempt this move, but Hex is just going to get that bomb stuck down in a very open spot before Slight can get into position. Breaking the window and headed the other direction. A classic ruse! But it does not work if Slight goes into control himself. Still, time is getting low here. Slight does have a kit. Molotov for the rat hole. Guessing this. Back turned as Hex peeks out. Always had the advantage of positioning there. And that will get NRG their first round.
Very nicely done. I mean, we didn't get to see most of what happened there because it was so very quick. in the mid-round where bodies were just dropping left, right, and center. But as you mentioned, OC did the lion's share of the work, getting 2 frags, even was holding the right angle. But as you aptly mentioned, just not enough health to deal with the engagement, even though he did connect with a shot or 2. That said, NRG is still enough done by OC, I should say, to get that round victory. So, Blue Jays will be able to reinvest into this round. They'll have the AWP, the 4A1Ss. But NRG starting that climb back up potentially. Certainly Blue Jays want to shut them down before they take off. That is a good start to do exactly that. Slight with the op shot, overkill to the head of Bro. And the 5v4 means that Blue Jays don't really have to aggress further. They can just take their time and play the sights. Oh, George has slipped through here. I think Freshy's expecting it. Yeah.
Fresh doesn't realize he's in J-Hall. Oh, no. Aware. Okay. Nice clear from Freshy. Not overlooking anything. So this round, I mean, it started with the aggressive hot push off of the AWP. Now they are taking advantage of this extra space created in towards ramp, but Snap's fast on this flank. So they just dive straight down. It could work out. Just like now on the angle here lower. Meanwhile, a player caught in secret. Things are getting a bit weird. You do still have that fast flank from Snav. If they can hold focus, Snav can capitalize here. He comes around the corner, catches a player with the pants down, but Hex is quick to trade. And Nitro is still distinctly a problem here, but that problem is solved by one Mr. Fruit of Cup. Hex eventually overwhelmed, just too many angles to cover as 1 man against 3. And there's time aplenty for that bomb to fuse.
Honestly, that was a really good round from beginning to end for the Blue Jays, right? They get the opening frags in. NRG managed to slip past the defenses and get onto the site, but Snav was always on that flank, and he activated at a good time. Honestly, you know, a little unlucky for him that he was being watched in that situation, and he did catch one player not really aware of the possibility. Trade comes through, but I think the damage is done by Snav more than enough, obviously, because they already had the man edge going into that, and they kept it in that situation. He just allows the rest of his teammates to activate around him or off of that frag. So 5th round found for Blue Jays. Time not going to be called by NRG to talk things over because this has been a little bit of a rough start for them. And they haven't looked like the same team since, I want to say, round number 6 or 7 of Mirage. This has honestly been a concern of mine for NRG for a little while, where they can look so very dominant in some events, and then they come back and so I should say in one BO3, and then come back and look like completely inconsistent in another. So not to mention that chicken coop loss, right? Like they should be beating teams like that every single time. It should not even be a question.
Would tend to agree. There's definitely some inconsistency issues.
I mean, I want to say less so now, but yeah. Maybe they're just saving everything for Dallas, but I don't know, Mike.
Well, be nice to have that Pro League spot.
Of course.
Went a long way towards this season. Making things look a whole lot better. That's a nice pop out from Bro. Now they're starting to take the space. There's just one player back cooler. They want to support. They want to help, but there's just too much of an overwhelm. Now it's time to slink away. Dare and Slight might just need to bail on out of this one. Our retake is not an appetizing prospect. And with the bomb down, with the numbers punched in, it is indeed going to need to be a save from these remaining 2 CTs.
Yeah. I mean, that's much better for energy. Honestly, just keeping it simple, right? I feel like they're just they're overcomplicating things in a lot of situations. Just keep it simple. Go for the straight take. Try to win the duels. More often than not, they have been. And you see Hex and George getting the job done. Bro even getting in on the mix. Slight and Dare now on for the save. Slight, he's been pretty good for the squad, especially Dare too. Like, he's got 9 frags, leading the server, in fact. That is the second on the board for NRG. They need a lot more of that right there to get themselves back into nuke.
Pacier upper hit.
Yeah.
Can work out for sure. All right, what are we going to get here in terms of weaponry? Things being shared out. Freshie might have some limitations. And Indeed is stuck on the MP9. Not the worst gun to defend ramp. Assuming that's where he's headed again. He'll definitely dictate some of this positioning. Freshie already gone all the way down, trying to make that path in towards the secret steps in case they're coming outside, because they have thrown the smoke walls. But it is actually the position that he vacated that is their interest, and nobody's close to being able to handle ramp. If they just go out ramp, they've got it for free. If NRG just follow through with their instinct here, with their first read, they're going to find nothing. Nitro gets caught outside. He hasn't revealed the presence here, but for NRG, this is a lot of real estate for very little cost.
Yeah, no one is anywhere close by. Now players drop down the vents, so there's going to be some presence, you'd think, towards B. Freshie and George traded a couple of frags, but it still remains a man advantage for Blue Jays.
There's a player in the single smoke.
Yeah, there is. That is a problem for
Opens
NRG.
the door. That's heard. They're not going to plant for him. So man advantage here for the Blue Jays, but a retake is required. Two players working their way in from ramp. They're going to be critical, but as Bro finds his safe haven, those plants get a lot stronger. Bro eliminated. That's huge. Needed that duel. Needed that duel. Freshie wins it with the MP9 over the Molotov, and it is just clean victories in the fights for the Blue Jays.
That's wild. NRG felt like they had full control in that round, and the Blue Jays just come out and absolutely decimate them in the clean fights. Freshie with 2. He's up to 9 as well now. And the Blue Jays have really pulled themselves together and rallied. One, to even get it to this point, and now here on Nuke, they realize the opportunity of staying in this upper bracket and a chance for an early berth into the grand final. They're trying to grab it by the horns and steer it right to victory. Obviously, still some other matches to win before they get to that grand final, but staying in the upper bracket is absolutely desirable. NRG might have to do it the hard way, and Slight, good positioning, aggressively postured in towards Trophy, spots out Bro, who's been the victim of Slight's op all too often.
They've already got this double up set up, anticipating the movement now, having spotted it out with the ult. They are well prepared, are the Blue Jays. Need to be some snappy shooting, and it is indeed, but Nitro doesn't expect a second still. Dare makes a hash of it, splitting the target, splitting the goalposts. And it's a victory instead for NRG as Slight came right back in, and they are not slowing down. OC holding on from the lobby, wiping these guns away. Freshie slinks back in towards spawn, but he needs to hold on to this gun. There's still many more rounds to play, and the economy has just dried up for the Blue Jays.
Just goes to show you how well... Actually, Mike...
How well?
No, I was just going to say, they have money. They should be
They
okay.
do.
Yeah.
If Freshie lives.
Yes. Even if he doesn't. I think they're okay.
Well, he won't. So now we can figure it out. Freshie on $1,800.
Yeah, that might not be justifiable. We'll see. Okay. Yep, they're going. Okay.
Oh yeah, he's gonna hero, or he's gonna force, but it's not exactly ideal. And now the money will run out. So there's limitations. There's not an op, which we know Slight very much likes to play with. And there's a pistol on for Freshie.
See how it goes. Certainly quite a dominant round from NRG after looking very lackadaisical in the early goings. I don't know what changed in that one. Perhaps they just got a lot more confident in their play and said, okay, we're the better team, we're the better aimers, maybe we can do this. And yeah, Bro is going to find one. Hex does get traded by Snap. Good aggression. They're going all over the map, are the Blue Jays, and they're finding some damage, but the problem is they're losing the bodies more often than not. 4v3 in favor of NRG, and George and Bro are low themselves.
Do NRG realize that at this point there is no ramp presence? Blue Jays are adjusting, correcting that fact. And NRG just hitting the pause on this to see what the next move is going to be. A player on the roof and George. This could just be an upper bust. Slice getting aggressive. Just as the util comes out, he's going to be able to catch a kill. That is a blessing, but his back turned. The blessing becomes a curse. At this point, a walk into trophy.
Ooh.
They're so committed to this ramp setup. Snap's getting aggro. Snap spotted. One by one, they're pushing into these gaps and leaving themselves for the collection. Fruit Cup? Well, now they know where you are, Fruit Cup. So you pull off this clutch.
Doesn't have the
Gonna
kit.
reroute towards many as a result of that Molotov. You're right. Lack of the kit's going to be costly, and a smoke now up. Mizito have to brave the smoke to get on into this. That might be enough to convince him it's not the right idea.
It just doesn't make sense, yeah. Even if you do get a frag here, you'd have to rush to try and defuse the bomb without the kit in your hands, and not to mention you need the second one as well on that last player. It's just too difficult. Too much to ask for from Fruit Cup, and he will just tuck tail and save the AK. Fourth round picked up by NRG. And that is certainly enough to get them into this one as they switch over to CT side. Obviously, they want to get more. 6 would be fantastic for them given the way this one started. And it feels like they're finally finding their rhythm, which is fantastic news for them because they really did struggle on the latter part of Mirage and even in the early goings here of Nuke, but their confidence is back, which is important. Felt like they lost it for quite a few rounds in a row.
Well, against USPs, it's always a good time to build confidence.
Indeed.
Just have to worry about Fruit Cup. He's playing out in the garage. Is he boosted up on top of credit card box? Interesting. Interesting angle to peer over these smokes. If they do just hit the site, it is USPs. And the USPs, they will brave. Lots of utility being put around this. Throw spots the one. Collects. Fruit Cup's found damage. That USP actually chimes in for more, but Dare is now alone. And alone he shall fall.
All right, there we go. So nothing really too difficult there for NRG in that round, but here come the Blue Jays with their last buy-up of the half, because it's the last round of the half. Nothing more left after this. Slight won't have the AWP again, so that may become a difference maker in the round. And on the other side, OC's not been able to run the op at all, but just because of the nature of the economy situation, 1, and well, 2, he didn't seem to want to buy it because they did have the opportunity to get it here. Just want to run those AKs, and we'll absolutely see OC on the big green in that second half. But we're still here in the first one. 1:38 on the clock. George looking into the hut, waiting for the aggression to come through. Oh my goodness, the util and the finishing touch from Slight onto Hex. That is just mortar strikes coming through, and Hex didn't even stand a chance.
Massing in the lobby now. Anticipating that next move out from the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays seem content at this point to sit in their position. They've got the advantage. They've got what they wanted. There's limitations to the util as well, so don't want to go wasting it needlessly. At this point, it's pretty much just Slight who's got an A's left. There with a 1 HE. Smoke comes at a timely juncture. And Snav. Oh, hang on. Snav is going to lurk his way through. George is in this smoke. And Pro spots as he was in the back of Squeaky as well. So just as I said, they were content to play with the advantage. They did something very bold indeed. And Snav was punished. Numbers are going to come back their way, though. Slight burning, somehow escapes, somehow eludes, and now Fruit Cup from the back of sight deals with 2. So advantage Blue Jays. We'll be right back. And we're back in to the second half. Blue Jays in the lead. But NRG have gotten within throwing distance. And they might just be throwing a whole lot at them. Blue Jays finally won a pistol. Those have been tough to come by. See if they can win 2. Out on towards A they go. George looking to connect. Instead, it's Bro who's stuffing them right back into the hut. Bro sticking around. Might have cost them, but now the reinforcements are here. The cavalry has arrived. OC's dinked up. But Blue Jays are rebuffed. We're headed ramp until they thought better of it. Event dive. Stuck on geometry. Snap's panicking. And now he's dead. Don't know why he didn't just go right, but he didn't, John.
Should have. Didn't. And Freshie gets his head blown off by OC's USP. That'll do it. They get a bomb plant, so that's good. That means they can force up in this next round and make a conversation of it. But it will be a 6 for NRG, who are recovering nicely after being down. I think it was 4-0, excuse me, before they got around on the board.
I'm just curious about the fact that I understand missing the gap in the smoke. That happens. But why stay up? That I don't understand. Yeah. Once the smoke clears and you realize you missed it, just go down.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Confusion.
Felt like he definitely should have. I do agree. But maybe just wanted to keep... the only thing I can think of is he wanted to keep the players on the A site and allow for a clean plant. And that was like the most important thing versus winning the round, which obviously you want to win the round, but the odds are already stacked against them. So he just wanted to make sure that the money would come through at the very least. That's the only reason I can think of, Mike.
Early kill for Nitro here. Collecting on the dare, looking for more, and Nitro is laying down the law outside. OC's flashbang's effective, and Nitro on cleanup duty.
Easy. Yeah, no real... not even breaking a sweat there. We're NRG, as they tied up at 7. And just looking at the stats here in terms of round win percentage, and yeah, it's obviously much better here for NRG on CT side. They win 60% of their CT rounds versus 53.6% of their T rounds, which, I mean, technically, it didn't happen necessarily. They were lower than that for sure in that first half, but they recovered nicely, so it didn't end up being too off of what the stats state. And looking at the T round win percentage here for the Blue Jays, actually below 50% at 46.2% of their rounds. So Blue Jays might be in a bit of trouble. We'll see. Bro, gonna take care of business here. Another anti-eco coming through, and this is just a non-starter.
Seems to be. Slight did connect one deagle shot. But we'll need a whole lot more of those. And instead, Bro will catch a nice anti-eco 4K. Whether they have guns or pistols, it counts in the stat column all the same.
I'm surprised. Well, I guess not so much, but I mean, they got the bomb plant, so I thought they would be a little more aggressive in that follow-up round. But anyway, they're going to have the guns this time. It's going to be 4 AKs and the AWP. Mike, this is the big green coming out on the T side for the Blue Jays. Didn't use it, if you guys recall, in that first half. Did NRG. OC didn't rock it at all, but now he's got it in his hands. We'll see where he posts up. I think OC usually plays towards ramp, and he likes to go and push down into those into secret as well. So that's exactly what he's doing. And he might pop up into mid and do some damage here. Not the most orthodox of positions for the op. Usually you see one watching, either watching yard from garage or from bottom of ramp, or not bottom of ramp, but towards that ramp box.
This has gotten popular with folks. It's gotten pretty trendy these days. Look at George. George is all the way through Squeak. George is all the way through Squeaky. Is starting to make his motion. There's a freshie just on the other side of this. Don't know if they're at all aware of each other. But it does seem like now we are going to get OC tested. OC is about to have a lot of players come his way.
This is so difficult.
Spots the one. And the little hezzy jiggle. Give an opportunity to get more. Dump the utility back in. That's ambitious. And eventually the Molotov forces him forward into the fray. So OC taking a risk there. But with Nitro collecting one outside, it is a man advantage in this retake, but a bomb plant can't be denied. They got two coming in from the ramp. One a little disjointed in Nitro. Quite low, but he's rumbled snav. Or slight, sorry. So these two players are pretty far off this bomb. The tap, here comes the control, there goes the op, and Slight is gone. They're just going to stick it. They're just going to stick it. Snav is massively out of position, and yeah, serves himself up on a silver platter. 3 players survive. Blue Jays so dedicated towards that secret fight that they left themselves understaffed on site.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been that easy for NRG to defuse the bomb, but it was. As you mentioned, Blue Jays retreating a little bit too much, chasing a fight that they shouldn't have, and NRG take advantage of it every step of the way. 9-7. I like the decision making from OC, right? He gets the first, realizes the Molotov's putting pressure on him, and says, you know what? I'm going to take this fight anyway, even if it costs me my life, and it worked out. I mean, he gets 2. Yes, he falls, but he keeps a bit of an advantage in favor of NRG, and they use every bit of it. Well done from the Opera here for NRG, who didn't really have a chance to make his mark in that first half, but now already has done the job here in the second half to keep them going. Bro pushes into lobby, finds Freshie looking the wrong way. That's a freebie, and the other 4 players for Blue Jays are working outside. There's a nice spam through the smoke by Snav. That'll probably trigger them to move a lot faster in towards Secret here. Smoke pop is good, and OC collects.
Nice one out of Mini as well. Now it just falls to Dare and Fruit Cup. Well, Dare has gained a ton of space. That bomb is stuck at red box. So for all Dare might do, it's Fruit Cup who's got to put in the work, and well, that work ain't happening. How on earth the 180 from Bro? The
He's
vent
pulling off.
was gonna catch him off guards, but Bro said no.
He's pulled off some really crazy stuff tonight, that's for sure. I think back to that the dually affair in the pistol round over on Inferno, and here just ridiculous flick to find that frag. 18 frags for him on the map, 18 for Nitro as well. Those two have been the ones doing the heavy lifting, but even though it doesn't really show on the scoreboard in terms of the total amounts of kills that he has, OC has been absolutely impactful here on this CT side. The op has been singing for him, and that's really been the story for OC as of the last 3 months as well. He has been the OC of old here on this NRG roster. And Blue Jays going into this round, they have to eco, no choice, which means unless something special happens with these Tech 9s, it will be 11 for NRG. Here come the Techs charging in towards the A site. George dealing with everything that comes his way. A third one, no. Too tall of an ask. And also Freshie finding Bro opens up the space potentially for the bomb plant to come in here, Mike. And now, even more so.
Looking likely. Looking likely. There's still this potential threat from Hex. But they're coming in to clear it. They stack up, and Hex takes 2 in the same swoop. It's all on Freshie now. Out towards Mini. Hex can gain purchase here. He spotted him, but Freshie hits the headshot, which means it falls to OC. Drop down is ill-timed. Freshie takes advantage of that to get the information. Now OC might know exactly where he is, but knowing and doing anything about it are different questions. Freshie, the Tech 9 is enough.
That's a coup for Blue Jays, honestly. Just blitzing onto the A site, it felt like, there was enough there in terms of the defense to hold them off from George, but he gets those 2 falls, and then it was the second frag afterwards that really made the difference, because that evens the numbers, opens up the space to get that bomb planted, and Freshie just continued to do work there in that one with the Tech 9. Then picked up the AK, found himself a couple, and that was really the round. I'm surprised he wins against Hex, because Hex made a brilliant play, right? He gets that 2K to move out of hut, and then goes for the duel against Freshie, and Freshie just has this clean, perfectly placed headshot delivered towards Hex. And after that, OC, I think if he just hung around in heaven a little bit longer and held the angle in towards Mini, could have just hit the shot and been done with it. But because he's dropping down, it just jars his aim enough for Freshie to get away and recover.
Still a lot more work to do. With only 1 survivor, both sides have drained their bank to arm up for this round. Molly. Counter Molly. Here comes the hit. Here comes the motion. Freshie's got the entry on the first. Trades are good, but George holds strong. George holds strong to the tune of 3. Those last 2 players didn't come through. Nitro is kissing them in the smoke. Oh, the spam is good. George might just do it. It's the ace. Only Slight remains to find. George has also just naded a Molotov to himself, but I don't know if he's realized that. He's going to stick to his guns, quite literally, and Slight finding the perfect timing to slip down the vent. He's just given himself a new chance to define the battle lines. The door's even already open for him. He's coming forward in the fight. Close the door. Bomb's planted back silo. He's going to catch the first, but the second player's through, and OC wastes no time. So the ace, it will not be. But an 11th round, surely confirmed here for NRG.
Wow. I mean, that was a sharp trade coming through from OC with the AK. Unbelievable. I mean, look, it was great positioning from Slight to even make that possible, right, into the 1v1. And if he even has maybe a second longer, he might react and get OC as well. So OC knew he had to be quick, and he tracked down where the shot came from exceptionally fast, and that was it. 11-8 in favor of NRG, 2 rounds away from advancing here in this upper bracket and sending Blue Jays down to the lower bracket to try and fight for survival. But it's not done yet. They haven't sealed the deal because the Blue Jays still have a buy-up available to them here. OC gets tagged through the wall. He's lucky to be alive. Slight certainly wants that one back. Nade sails in as well, and OC only takes a little bit of damage from him. It was just slightly ahead of him. If it's closer, then he's dead, and he dies anyway through the smoke. Slight connecting. That makes it a 5v4. The Blue Jays do lose a body in turn, and I mean, this battle around the smokes is not favoring them at this point. Damage continues to come on through, and they have to get down into secret. Finally, they do, but NRG realizes this is happening, and they send a player down. That is Nitro.
Just Nitro, though. If they've gone for the lobby control instead, and they have gained that lobby control. But it means Nitro's in a lot of trouble, and there's no one here to rotate to help him quickly. You still have Freshie as well, who's looking to get through Mini to maybe provide them a bailout option. And look at this. They're going to let Freshie attempt this. He's been unsuccessful, so in towards lower they go. And Nitro, too many angles to cover, all on his lonesome.
I think they're going back, eh?
They are. But why? What have they seen? I mean, they're correct. This is the adjustment, but that's a little too much to ask. Bro on the spray, last bullet on, gets Slight. Yeah, he can't deal with Snav, sure. But he's giving his teammates a really good chance to close this. Hex is trying to draw as much focus as possible because George needs to get up the vents. Now that George has done so, here comes the U-tilt. Flashbang.
Well done.
Causes the turn. And Hex capitalizes.
Yeah, that could not have been executed better in the 2v1. Like you said, Hex just trying to attract the attention using the U-tilt. Doesn't take too far of a step forward, right? Because one wrong move and then you expose yourself to that angle and you go down. So, yep, he's just throwing the U-tilt, getting some shots fired off, and eventually, once George comes up the vent, he throws the flashbang. So, I mean, yes, that gives away his position, but it also forces Dare to think about 2 spots at once. He can't decide where to look, and then as soon as he turns around to try and engage with George, that's when Hex pops around that corner and nails him right to the ground. NRG get their 12th round. Now they have 4 opportunities to close out the series up against the Blue Jays, who have been so very resilient even to get us to this point. But they might have run out of gas.
We'll collect on the first. OC dropping one from Trophy, and they are not going to brave that angle again. So it's back to plan B. Seems like this is going to be an upper explode. And out they go here from Mustang, but a timely Molotov holds them in the hut. And Bro hasn't been revealed just yet.
Oh, no, Dare.
Better get that gun up. Missed opportunity on Dare, but he's got the communication. This is very haphazard. They've totally rerouted over towards Squeak, and now Bro can capitalize. Trade on to Dare. It all falls to Slight, and he has a slight chance of making it out of that one. Clean final round from NRG. It took a lot longer than it initially seemed to, but NRG still